Well, hello. Welcome to the Uplift Effect podcast. I'm Jill. I'm the host of this podcast, and I am the owner and CEO of the Uplift Effect Coaching and Consulting. I am thrilled you are here today. And for today, we have got an episode that is really geared towards understanding what's at the heart of why people would choose to have a parenting coach. I mean, what does that really matter? Why would you do that, right? Because parenting is supposed to be the most natural thing you've ever done, right? Kind of like nursing. Okay. So if you don't understand the funny of that, then you need to go back and listen to the second episode of this podcast because that is totally just it is the most unnatural thing I've ever experienced in my life. And the reality is that it is so unfortunate that parenting is viewed as something that just naturally happens, and yet it is one of the most difficult things we ever do, and we are the least prepared for it. I mean, we spend years and years and years getting an education for a profession, and yet the thing at the end of our lives that really matter actually wasn't our profession at all. It really was about our families, our relationships with our children, how we end up feeling about those if we choose to have kids. So here's something. I have moms all the time say to me, I do not know why I am this way. Like, I don't know why I lose my crap on my kids. Like, where did this temper come from? I'm struggling with anxiety and depression. And maybe I've always kind of struggled with it, but I'm not really sure where that comes from. Maybe they had a background of trauma, maybe they didn't. And if they did, they don't recognize that that's connected. But if they didn't, they for sure don't recognize where that would be coming from. I'm frustrated with my kids all the time, and I'm not really enjoying this process. And I feel very confused about why all of this emotion? Why am I not just truly enjoying this process of raising kids? And why do I struggle with my self-confidence? Where is that coming from? Why do I have all of this negative self-talk? And here's the thing. Every now and again, I'll come across a parent who's very self-aware and will say something like, and I'm worried that I could be passing this on to my kids in some way, in some form or fashion. Like, I love those kinds of parents that are that self-aware that realize I could be accidentally modeling this or saying some things or doing some things that is actually affecting my kids to have the same issue I had, not ever realizing that that was probably true for them as well. Well, being a parenting coach, a lot of what I do is to help moms identify the cycle of what is going on. We have generational patterns of behavior that affect who we are, who we have become, and who we are creating in our children. And that can be positive and that can be negative or somewhere in between. So I did a little video that I had done for my moms that I have in a Facebook group. So if you are not part of my Facebook group, it's called Moms of the Uplift Effect Facebook group. And if you go to my Facebook page, you will see a group link for that. If not, message me. All that information will be in the show notes. And I really pour a lot of content in that Facebook group to help moms with basically free coaching and to guide them in this journey, because the truth of the matter is we need to be more educated on how to raise our kids. It is not the most natural thing. And the fact that you don't really know what to do with your kids most of the time is completely normal. So have we all said that. But I do a little thing, um, an exercise, for lack of better words, where I am kind of walking through why would somebody end up needing advice from a parenting coach? I mean, why does that really matter? What does being a good parent and feeling good about what we're doing with our kids, why does that really matter? So I'm going to share a section of that with you. Hold on just a second and let me get that fired up for you. So this is what I did. I did a little test called the Why Does It Matter test on this situation. Okay. So this is how it goes. What most moms tell me is that they need solutions for behavior issues that are happening within their home. And they need more emotional self-control so that they are not emotionally reacting to their kids and so that they can choose a response instead. So, why does that matter? Well, it matters because I believe that most moms would say, they've said to me, and I have also felt that I wanted to raise happy and healthy children, and I wanted to have less stress in my home and in my life in general. Okay, so why does that matter? Well, I wanted to do a good job parenting my children. And I also wanted to enjoy the process of parenting. I wanted to enjoy each stage that they were in because it goes by so fast. All right. So, why does that matter? At the heart of it all, I think this is why it all matters. We recognize and we realize that our lifetime and the lifetime of our children, the time in which they intersect and that they would live in our home and we would be responsible for parenting them, is actually, in the big scheme of things, is a very small amount of time. We have a very small window by which we then feel a whole lot of pressure to get it all right and make sure we teach all these lessons and shove all this stuff in this small little area. And there's this idea of, I'm kind of running out of time because it happens so fast. But really, I could say it again, but why does that matter? Here's why it matters. When I come to the end of my life, what I want more than anything is to know and see that my children are happy and healthy and have been well prepared for adulthood and the life that they would then be living. What I do not want to have is regret. And I think that word regret is so very closely tied for moms to this issue of ruining our children. I hear moms say that all the time. I don't want to ruin them when they're babies. I don't want to ruin them when they're toddlers. I don't want to ruin them when they're teenagers, but I don't want to ruin my relationship with them. When we are taking our last breaths in this lifetime, we want to know that we have not ruined our children, that they are happy and they are healthy, and that we have no regret. That is why being a parenting coach is so important to me, and why I feel like people ultimately end up coming to hiring a parenting coach. They may not articulate it in quite those words because they don't know, they don't have all of that yet. I help them with that. Now, there are very practical things too. Yes, we need a parenting plan. We need to know some very practical tools in our toolbox things, and how to interact with our children so that we can choose a response and not react. Here's the honest truth. They didn't come with instruction manuals, and we've never been a parent before. We've only been parented. Therefore, our natural instinct is to repeat what we experienced. And for a lot of people, that's problematic and that's concerning to them. They didn't have another model than the one that they had growing up, and they want something different for their children. Okay, so I'm back after sharing that little excerpt with you and that exercise. The reason why that exercise is important, it's kind of an idea that I use with my clients when there's a specific thing. We will go through, well, why does that matter? And what we're doing is trying to basically get it down to the very, very baseline to clarify what really is going on. Because once we begin to understand the root issues, and the baseline behind all of this, well, then we can begin to rebuild. And we can begin some healing, and we can begin to choose a different way of thinking, and a different way of feeling, and a different way of acting and behaving. But all things start with getting very, very clear with the very bottom baseline of what is actually going on. And so that idea of, well, why does that matter? And why does that matter? That is an exercise that many coaches use. I find it particularly helpful when there's confusion, and to help moms clarify what really does matter to me in all of this is that I do not want to ruin my children, and I do not want to live with regret. And how are these things, these learned behaviors that I have, or these struggles that I have, or just a lack of understanding about how to interact with my children in some of these specific ways? Maybe you have a child that has got some special needs, and you're having to parent in a different way than you've parented your other kids. How do we get that all narrowed down to where you can understand what your role is, maybe what's triggering you, how to work with it, and get the thing turned around so that you can feel confident in your skills as a parent, so you can feel good about what you are developing and building and growing and raising in your children, and so that you can also personally be happy and healthy and enjoy the process of parenting. Because here's the deal, it can be a tremendous experience. But you know what? I see so many mothers just barely surviving. And I remember it, I was there too. I spent years in that. And I look back at it now, and there were some funny times and some fun memories and some sweetness in the midst of it all. Sure, thank goodness. I'm not sure I would have made it otherwise. But the truth is that yes, toddlers are hard, and having very young children is hard. Having teenagers is also really hard. It's all hard, but we can enjoy it. We can thrive in it. Our children can thrive in it when we know what we are doing. We are confident about the big picture, and we're not distracted by all this that are going on inside of us, like, why am I this way? And what's up with my depression? And how come I'm struggling with all this anxiety and all of this? And we are distracted by all of our internal chaos, that we then create external chaos, and that is working in complete opposition to creating a stress-free household that we really and truly want. So I hope that gives you some things to think about, and some ways to, number one, to think about why people have parenting coaches, why that's important. I mean, you spend years getting an education and you have zero preparation for being a parent. So don't bully yourself and have all this negative self-talk and say to yourself that you should know. Well, no, that's not how that works. You don't know any other way than the way that you were shown growing up. And if you want something different, you can provide something different. But the other thing is that this is a really good exercise just to take yourself through, to say, okay, so I've got a problem, I've got an issue. Well, okay, so why is that an issue for me? Why does that matter? And you work your way down to really finding what's at the root of all of that. Maybe it's an issue of vulnerability. Maybe it's an issue of respect. Maybe it's an issue of I don't want to live with regret, and I've got to find a different way. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I really, really believe in this work, and I know you can find answers. I do it every day with my clients as to what's going on internally so that you can provide the household, the chaos to calm that you have secretly wanted all along and you've needed answers to. Well, there's answers. It's not as complicated oftentimes as you think it is. It just requires a little digging and a little bit of work and thinking of some things differently. And it is a process I thoroughly enjoy. And I love to see moms come to those aha moments where they go, it's all coming together now. There is so much confidence and so much freedom in that moment. And it's great to see. I love being a part of it. If this resonates with you in any way, please message me. I'd love to hear from you. I would love comments and feedback, and I will give in the show notes all of the ways by which you can contact me. And please, absolutely share this with a friend. If you know another mother who is struggling and needs some support and some ideas and some things to think about, please share this with her. Subscribe, whatever platform you're listening, subscribe so that you can not miss an episode, and comment on there, give it stars and thumbs up and all of those fun things so that other mothers can have access to it. I don't make a penny on this podcast, so it's not about me getting more money through this. It has nothing to do with that because I'm not making any money doing it. It's an avenue by which it comes up so that mothers who are looking for resources can find it more easily because of your ratings and the comments that you leave. I also have a mailing list. I would love for you to be on that so that you can stay up to date and you get free exclusive content from me, and you know what's going on and speaking engagements that I have coming up and people that I'm bringing in. You will be the first to know about all of those things, and you can have a weekly motivational flyer. I call it the Uplift Effect flyer, and in your mailbox. It'll be the best thing you have in your mailbox all week, I promise. So all of those links will be in the show note. Thank you for being here. I am thrilled to death. You are all my favorites. Have a great day.